How does a team who finished 13th the previous season win the premiership the following year?
Sometimes a group of people go out there and they don't deserve to be wearing the jumper of that football club.
Now, the lack of pressure and the lack of attention to detail and defensive structure, it's embarrassing, verging on unprofessional.
They are disinterested. They've given up, showing no fight whatsoever.
Damien Hardwick is going to have to come up with some pretty big answers.
The worst disaster that Richmond could ever have anticipated.
The Richmond Football Club is in crisis. They won't admit it, of course, but they're in trouble. And we're going to fix it.
Stability and change equals chaos, and I refuse to let that happen.
Never has a year promised so much, yet delivered so little.
After a disastrous 2016, the off-season was spent fighting off a board challenge, cleaning out the football department and getting back to basics. And it began with a question. What does it mean to be a Richmond man?
Yeah, it's all sort of started around, I reckon, when Chris Newman became captain of the football club, and we really developed this picture of what we thought the best Richmond man is.
Being a Richmond man is living by the codes and standards that we set for ourselves.
A lot of hard work, a lot of honesty, and people just stripping it back to exactly what makes them them. Once you start to embrace that and show people and take the armour off, that helps with the connection as well, because people realise that we have our own struggles, we share struggles.
When you build relationships, you gain trust from your teammates, and when you gain trust from your teammates, you're willing to put your body on the line for them.
Once you sort of gain that trust off-field, it's amazing how it transferred on-field.
Richmond have won the last three. Carlton was successful before that. The 2017 season is about to commence. It's been a long wait, and we're away. Martin's got his first for the year. The Tigers have got 4.
Dustin Martin began his record-breaking season with fend-offs, torpedoes, 4 goals and, you guessed it, 3 Brownlow votes.
It is so good.
Round 2 was more of the same. While Ben Griffiths controlled the skies,
Kicks long and hard. Oh, he's taken a beauty.
Captain Trent Cotchin controlled the ground, ferocious at the ball and the man.
Trelaw, great tackle.
The Tigers, 2 from 2.
Cotchin outside of him. He can kick a goal, the skipper. He does.
The big thing last year was that they measured pressure, which was new to us. I don't know if it was part of 2016, but we obviously didn't register it that well in 2016.
Like, you need something that everyone buys in on. Now, it doesn't always have to be the same thing, but defence is just the thing that worked for us.
If I remember a training session in January, I think it was, where we just had a moment where we said, you know, defence can literally be fun.
The following week, Dustin Martin's season went from strength to strength. 40 possessions and 15 clearances against the Eagles.
Dusty at his brilliant best.
I personally don't think I've ever met a player that loves to win as much. He's always such a fantastic player, and you know, he's only going to get better every year he comes back and he improves one facet of his game. What that's going to be this year, I'm not too sure. But it wasn't just Dusty turning it on.
Keeps it in play, gets it back, tucked in the pocket. Banana, check side. How do you like that? They're unbeaten after 3 rounds.
The Tigers were on a roll, and the train was filling fast.
Makes the spoil. Landed like a cat.
Next up, Melbourne on Anzac Eve. A marquee game against a club expected to push Trent Cotchin's men all the way to September.
You know, from as early as day one for me, there was always a comparison between Melbourne and Richmond, just with regards to their building and so forth. And for whatever reason, that's created a rivalry.
I think it was a year previous, I think Tommy passed away. A game that really stung me where, you know, we had such a special person in our footy club pass away, and we really wanted to play for Tommy and honour his legacy.
Nothing more tigerish than a bloody tiger.
We really let ourselves down. I always sort of felt the Melbourne game is the game where, you know, I feel that we owe Tommy for that game.
It was a big moment for us, and we sort of faltered early, and the D's jumped us. It started raining, and I think our boys really love it when it rains. There's just a real hardened edge that comes over the group that certainly you have a lot of pride about, to know that you're really going to have to get down and dirty to get the victory. And I think we may have been 20-odd points behind at three-quarter time.
Greg going to be tackled immediately, slapped it down cleverly. Martin's a chance from there. Can he beat the round? You bet he can, Dusty. 36 career goals to Jack Riewoldt, maybe none bigger than this one. Leans back, Jack's got 6, the Tigers are going berserk.
Grabbing to the jumper started with Chris Newman and how much pride we do have in the jumper. We don't wear it other than when we play in the real season.
We weren't at our very best, but we just hung tough and we ended up getting over the line. It was funny, Lepper said something at the very end of that game. There's something about these blokes, and he's right.
For the first time in 22 years, Richmond start the season 5-0, and they're unbeaten.
Yes, it's the undefeated Tigers, first onto the Adelaide Oval, looking to make it 6 in a row in 2017, with the Crows providing their sternest test yet.
Yeah, the Crows game was an interesting one. We started off really well. I think it was even around quarter time, but then they just pulverised after that.
Knocked it out, Eddie off the deck, JJ back to Eddie. How good is that?
Well, they're getting absolutely flogged here at the moment. This is a big step backwards for the Tigers.
Drop mark, Lynch spins around, party time.
Funnily enough, that game, that beating I'd probably call it, was a real blessing in disguise. We found out a lot about ourselves, a couple of flaws were evident. We went to work on those and learned a few lessons from it.
The reigning premiers were next, and while Richmond led at every break...
Can he get past Murphy? Of course he can. Dusty has got 2 goals.
Clay Smith would put the Bulldogs in front deep into the fourth quarter, handing Richmond back-to-back losses.
What a game.
Round 8 began badly for the Tigers.
Trent Cotchin.
And it only got worse as Fremantle led by 5 goals at the final break.
Twist, turns, goals. Who saw this coming?
But then at the 28-minute mark, Brandon Ellis snapped truly, putting the home side in front.
Kick a goal, Ellis. Absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. They were in front from Ellis's boot with 21 seconds left. What a game.
Yeah, and Richmond are bringing all of their players back. Ross Lyon's going to leave the box.
Yeah, the Fremantle game was frustrating. I felt I had a pretty large role to play in the defeat. So if you look at the footage, we had no coverage off the back of the square. We didn't keep the ball in. We had me playing on a ghost. Absolutely no one. We had Grimesy playing in behind Mundy when he probably should have been playing out in front. All these things which I could have changed that I didn't do and I didn't act upon.
After the
He's going to kick after the siren. What drama at the MCG. David Mundy, the 259-game veteran of the Dockers, the former captain, comes in. The kick is on its way. He's kicked a goal and Fremantle win it after the siren. What a game of football at the MCG.
Next week, another opportunity, another heartbreaking loss.
Straight down the spine, 1 minute 14 left. This could be double deja vu. Giants won it late last week. Cameron, maybe for the game. Oh no! The miracle! Double deja vu.
There's a lot of things going around at that stage, you know. It was so Richmondy, I think, was the phrase that was coined there a little bit.
You know, these are lessons that we learn along the way that maybe if we didn't learn them then and there, the result at the end of the year might have been different.
For me, this is right up there. It's such a historic night. A lot of respect paid tonight to our great Indigenous brothers and sisters. But this time, surely Dusty will kick a go. He has. He's just eyeing off another 3 Brownlow votes. He's kicked more goals in dream time at the G matches than any other player. This for his 21st. Now he's back on the board, and the Tigers are back in front.
After disposing of the Kangaroos, the Tigers' focus turned to the battle-hardened Swans.
Hanbury towards Franklin, who used the body and they didn't like it.
Lance is a scary man. He's a scary athlete, can turn games in a second. And I think there is times where you need to play the emotional side of the game. And do you get a bit physical? Do you get confrontational? Or do you try and play a bit buddy-buddy? How's things going? Geez, you've been playing pretty well today, mate.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, wow.
Just didn't need to do it.
I know physically he's probably got me covered. From a competitive aspect, I reckon I'll win a lot of dogfights because I'm a scrapper. So that's what makes it such an enthralling battle.
And it's Gary Rowan, and he's right foot in their rabbit, the Swans.
Gee, he's out as a whole.
Players on the ground.
He has not moved.
I'm reporting you got the free. Let it go. I'm reporting it. Move away. Move away.
Clearly wasn't intentional because I've never done nothing wrong to that degree in my life. It was an incident, obviously, that happened really quick, unintentional, but obviously felt something in my heart that this is not Bashable. He's at, way of life.
Just got him in the spot that has sent him into oblivion.
The AFL were pushing for a 4-week suspension, and that is what Hooley has received, but he's reluctantly accepted the decision.
My concern is and always has been for Jed, and I hope he recovers really quick.
Looking for Giles Rance over the top.
Has to come back inboard to Stewart. Good tackle, Rance.
And Rance wins the day again.
In 2017, Alex Rance was the most dominant defender in the game. But when he ran out against Port Adelaide, he had little idea what Ken Hinkley had in store for the 4-time All-Australian.
That was a real mental challenge. I learned a lot about myself this year, actually, 2017.
Out-strength and outsmarted Alex Rance, and not many can say they can do that.
No, and look at the Port players telling him all about it because he doesn't get beaten one-on-one.
Initially, I was like, oh, this is pretty funny. Like, a guy tagging me out of full back, like, we can get a real advantage out of this. Didn't work out that way.
And Trengove wins it again. Oh, what a night he's having.
And I then was starting to look to the umpires for help and sooking and carrying on. And
I listened. You have to listen when Rancy gets on a rant.
I should be beating this bloke, and he's beating me mentally.
Obviously, it was the first real time that he had to deal with almost a tag, I suppose. So
it was good for someone like Trent, who's very composed, very calm, very measured, to come up and stick his arm around me and say, mate, you're a super player. Like, why are you letting this worry you? It was probably the changing moment in that game for me.
Tempered the kick for Gray. Great work, Rance.
Yep.
He's fought back well from a very tough first half.
Rance recovered, as did Richmond, overcoming the Power by 13 points in a famous victory.
Revolt! He went for the ride of his life, Revolt, and Tyson Stengel can't put it through. Tiger time at the Adelaide Oval.
But then Richmond ran into St Kilda, who were about to unleash one of the most dominant first halves seen in recent years.
82 points, if you don't mind.
Trent Cotchin firmly in their sights.
That's against Trent Cotchin.
Reported for striking. And a report. Reported for striking. You punched him in the guts.
And while the captain would escape with a second fine, his side would suffer their 6th defeat and fall to 6th position on the ladder. Coming up on The Fighting Fury.
It was almost like a free hit. Everyone was like, Geelong got the wood over the Tigs.
All the jungle drums were beating about the game should be down at Geelong.
They're coming to us. We played them on their home deck. This is our home deck now.
And then we spoke about Geelong being an obstacle. You can go around it or you can go through it.
It's easy to make big statements, but no player has ever had as good a year, I suspect, as Dustin Martin. Players have had good years, but if you talk about how many outstanding games, gee, he's been a very outstanding player this year.
And blasts it long and brings the house down.
It's amazing how he's grown, this kid. No, I'm so proud of him and what he's become. I get emotional speak about him. You know, a lot of that goes down to Dustin and how he's matured as a person. But, you know, Trent, he's worked enormously close with.
Well, obviously we have a special relationship, and I know that his ability was always going to stack up, and a lot of what he did was off his own boot. It wasn't me.
He's like family to me, almost a shoulder to cry on. If I've got any dramas going on in my life, he's one of the first that I'll text or call, and, you know, he'll give me advice or talk me through something.
I've been through what he's been through, with a lot of speculation about whether you're going to play on, whether you're going to go to another club, whether you're going to re-sign. And so it is stressful.
Despite Martin's scintillating season, he still hadn't put pen to paper. But was he ever going to leave?
Yeah, it certainly crossed my mind. You know, it was 50-50 at some stages. Yeah, and I obviously had to put a lot of thought into it. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with the decision that I made.
Round 18 continues at the mighty MCG, and it's virtually a final in July between the Tigers and the Giants.
What we focused on through the whole season is we always felt like our best football was ahead of us.
Over the top, beautifully taken Lambert, and the Tigers are red hot right now. Dusty and Jack. Jack and Dusty.
It's an amazing feeling when you go into a game knowing that if you bring your best weapon, you feel that you really are unbeatable.
And the siren rings out around the MCG. And the Tigers have brought down the Giants. And this Tiger transformation is just about complete.
It's all Tigers out the back. They should get a goal out of it, and they do.
Out in front of the running Butler. Bounces perfectly for him. Gets away from Whitecross. Over the top again. Dusty gets his second. And the Tigers get noisy.
After 4 straight wins, the Tiger train stopped at Kardinia Park, a venue they hadn't tasted success at for more than 10 years.
Harry's in position 1A.
Harry Taylor had the better of Alex Rance.
Rance gets a bad bounce. Colin Chesney gets a good one, and Harry Taylor can kick his third, and does!
While Stephen Motlop-Sealer got the better of the coach.
Oh, drown him in your honey, Motts! Drown him in your honey!
And we didn't play particularly well that game. Once again, we learned a few things about our structure in front of the ball, and probably felt we were not quite covering the ground as well as we would have liked.
Cats have lived the dream.
Compounding the loss was a hamstring injury to ex-Cat Josh Caddy. But that just opened the door for some new blood. Jack Graham and Jacob Townsend were about to play key roles in Richmond's fortunes.
I was just at home, sitting on the couch, and I got a phone call from Dimmer, and sort of Alan calls you if either getting dropped or whether you're in, and I wasn't playing, so I'm assuming I was in.
Rare opportunity around the body by Townsend.
Jacob obviously comes in for his first game, and he's probably pretty nervous about where he fell in the scheme of things. Obviously, Josh will be back at some stage. I said, listen, all you got to do is chase tackle, and if you kick 6, you're in next week, so...
Just outside the arc, but in perfect conditions. Struck it pretty well. He's an unlikely hero.
Credit where credit's due. He's incredible for us down the stretch and competed really hard. He tackles, he chases, and he kicks goals.
He's got 5.
I'm not sure what's going on here. Like, I think I kicked 5 goals in my previous 28 games, where it was, so I wasn't sure what was happening. And then, yeah, come out again and end up kicking 6.
Hands it up to the man of the moment, Townsend. Of course it is. 6-goal afternoon for Townsend, the best game of his career.
Imagine if I had to play him 20 weeks earlier. It would have been a genius.
Come round 23, if Dustin Martin didn't already have the Brownlow around his neck, he made sure of it against the Saints.
The inside-out bender, Dusty, the stiff-arm Martin.
It was just one of those moments where, you know, you're on field and you're watching the standout performer of 2017 do what he does best.
Tigers are into the top 4 and have got the double chance.
And so, for the first time in 16 years, Richmond would play in a qualifying final against an opponent who had beaten them only 3 weeks earlier.
It was almost like a free hit because everyone was like, Geelong got the wood over the Tigs.
Just listening to radio during the week and all the jungle drums were beating about the game should be down at Geelong.
And especially because the potential baggage that we could have brought from the game prior.
One last piece to Harry.
I got my pants pulled down by Harry. And so it was a nervous game for me going in.
Yeah, we've probably been a bit scarred from the elimination finals, the 3 losses, the cutthroat nature of it, whereas the top 4, it does give you that little bit of a licence, obviously, you know. Listen, we can go out there and play. There's not that guillotine hanging over you at that stage. That comes later down the track. But we also showed him some information where every side we'd played the second time around, we'd beaten those sides.
To play on our home deck, and we kept pumping that up within ourselves. This is our home deck now.
And then to run out first and just hear the roar of the Tiger Army.
I remember when the Cats came out, the boo was louder than the cheers from the Geelong supporters.
And then we spoke about, you know, Geelong being an obstacle and they're in the way. And there's two ways you can go about it. You can go around it or you can go through it. We challenged our players to go through it, and that's what they did.
Gee, Cotchin, terrific there. Selwood gone, I think, gone. Revolt couldn't quite get a run at it. Oh, he's done it again, has he? A miracle, man.
Rioli's there. Castagna went back and got it again. Snapped by Butler. The three smalls combined with the driller. Probably needs to handle a little more. Dangerfield got caught.
Dusty. Oh, Dusty. That is classic Dusty. Kicks to half forward. Revolt did well. Gives it a skid. Have a look at this. What a goal.
There was a real tight tussle there for 3 quarters. We always felt like we were on top, but we just weren't quite getting the dominance that we felt we had. But then when the game opened up in the last quarter, it was a great feeling to see the boys, you know, pile those goals on.
What a pick up from Cotchin. Left foot snap. The goal of the game.
It'll be the play of the final series where the ball's 70-30, picks it up, snaps it on the left, and everyone's just like, how the heck did that happen?
So, yeah, that was awesome. I think we ran down there and jumped on top of him.
I still get a shudder even thinking about it now.
The most special part for me was just the way the players embraced me after that moment.
The Tigers are into the prelim.
When someone goes through a period in their football career where they're challenged externally, challenged about their leadership style, challenged whether they're the right person to take a club forward.
Trent to me is like one of my kids sort of thing. To see it, you know, like one of your kids copying it relentlessly from the media, where you know it's just unjust and unfair, and became really disheartening for Trent, but it really hurt me on the inside as well.
For him to transform into that player that everyone saw in 2012 when he did win the Brownlow, I think just says a little bit about, you know, when people are struggling, maybe lay off a bit because you don't realise how much pressure they're actually feeling themselves. So when the weight was off the shoulders, we saw how much of a powerful presence he can be.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody to the mighty Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's Tiger time, or is it the land of the Giants? Look at this crowd coming in today, the most lopsided crowd we've seen in the history of VFL, AFL football.
Coming from the TV Island, small population, probably be lucky to get 50 people watching, playing a prelim and playing in front of 90 odd thousand people watching you on the big stage, and yeah, it's pretty an amazing feeling.
And you see GWS out there, they can't help but feel like they're crashing a party today.
I just looked around and, yeah, the roar of the Tiger Army was crazy. Your hairs were standing up on the back of your neck, and you couldn't almost hear the coaches, what we were doing. It was mayhem out there.
Richmond have won 10 of 12 at the MCG this year. They're on their home deck. They couldn't be better positioned. Adelaide waiting. Who will it be? The Tigers or the Giants? We've got a whistle to start things off. Waste no time, Cotchin down in the revolt direction. Couldn't mark. Martin, brilliant roving. Handball over the top. Lambert, how's that start from the Tigers?
Minutes later, Trent Cotchin's action would set the sporting agenda for the next 24 hours.
And he's really sore, grabbing that shoulder. This is a big moment in the game, Dylan Shield.
Yeah, so at that moment when I dive in to get the footy, it was more about in the game. I felt like I'd just dived and protected myself. I didn't even really think where his head or shoulder was.
He chose to make body contact before he went for the ball, and he bumps him in the head.
There is enough doubt that he gets off. I can't see a player getting suspended for a grand final for that.
You know, you don't want to see blokes get hurt, but when it's your own teammate that's inflicting that pain, you're thinking, this is great for us.
Runs to 50, looks pretty good off the boot from Rioli. Looked great off the boot.
At half-time, Richmond held a 1-point lead, and if the captain was gun-shy after his first quarter collision, he wasn't showing it.
To Hopper, Cotchin's defensive pressure. He's outstanding.
The big guys joined in.
Here's Whitfield. good tackle. There he is again, Dan Curtis.
And to the little blokes went the spoils.
Rioli for his third. He's got the name and he's got the finish.
Yeah, I remember my first game against the Cats where I sort of struggled a bit and I didn't kick a goal. And to play my best footy, a week after that, yeah, it's a pretty good time too to shine.
He's had an enormous impact on our footy club. He's sort of changed the dynamic of the way we played.
Costanza to Rioli for goal number 4. Rioli's kick 4. Kick forward, 2-on-1. Dusty.
With the eyes of the world fixed on the MCG, Richmond had booked a spot in the AFL Grand Final.
And the MCG is an absolute bust.
The yellow and black, it's infectious.
This is extraordinary.
It's hard not to get emotional when you speak about Dimmer. I mean,
He's a star. Every player at our football club will agree to this.
Reminds me a lot of my dad, and I have a relationship a bit like I have with my old man with him. But yeah, he'd do anything for you, and that's why all of our players, I think, love him.
He certainly changed a lot from 16 to 17. He just, changed some of his coaching strategies and a few other things, and that's something that I'm most proud of.
He brought something new to the club, and that was, having fun and playing to your strengths, and that's what we get drafted for.
One of those draftees was Brett Deledio, who after 243 games walked out of Tigerland, chasing an elusive premiership at the very team Richmond had just knocked out of the race.
It's a real weird feeling. I spent, well, basically all of my adult life rocking up to this football club and him being 5 lockers down from me and going out for lunch with him nearly every day, seeing the birth of his children.
It was a hard moment, to go through so much of your journey together. I looked up to him before I was even drafted to the footy club. And then, to take his dream away from him, and typically probably the reason he left our footy club must have been such a horrific time for him.
On a level, you're just like, you sort of just like, mate, you should, like, you just want him to be a part of him, say, you want to feel like you should have just hung around.
And while in sport there must be a loser, so too there is a winner. The Richmond Football Club had come from 13th the year before and would now contest for the greatest prize this sport has to offer, a prize that had evaded this proud club for 37 years. When we return on The Fighting Fury.
There was a lot made of the power stance. Guys were crying, they were laughing that much.
I'd look at our list on paper, I'm like, we got Koch, we got Dusty, we got Jack, and I'd always think to myself, like, why not us, why not us?
I haven't seen a greater captain's performance, probably since a Wayne Carey.
When you believe in each other and believe in success, anything can happen.
The tension is building. The atmosphere is quite simply brilliant as over 100,000 fans line the streets of Melbourne to celebrate the 2017 AFL Grand Final with the official parade.
If you asked me 3 years ago what I would do in Grand Final week, it would be just to sort of shut off to the world, ignore what's going on outside of you, whereas Dimmer's theory was just to embrace it. A lot of people have gone or been on the journey with us. They're excited, sort of embrace that.
There was a lot made of the power stance that Adelaide were obviously they were using to get an advantage over the opposition early. I remember standing on the stage getting the cup presented in front of both sets of crowds after the grand final parade, and I can remember
because I was standing right beside Trent with the fans, and he goes, I'm going to hold the cup the longest. I'm not going to be the first one to put it down.
You can see our guys in the background there just absolutely wetting themselves with laughter because Koch is looking really awkward in front of all these screaming fans. And you can see that Tex is starting to feel a bit awkward about it as well.
There's a little bit of a standoff there at the stage, and then Tex put it down.
Kochie turned around. I remember just seeing the biggest grin on his face, and then Just looking around our guys there, and guys were crying, they were laughing that much.
It's funny, I took enormous confidence out of that. I'm not sure why, but it's just one of those things that made me feel better.
My old man told me the night before no one else out there has actually played in the grand final, so we all start on zero. So that was some pretty good advice from the old man.
Your skin tingles. As calm as you want to be, your skin tingles when you got hit with that MCG crowd on grand final day. It's pretty special.
I don't believe in fate, but I think that by us playing in front of 90-odd thousand against Geelong and then 90,000 rampaging Richmond supporters against GWS, playing in the granny at 101,000, we're just like, oh yeah, we're here again. That prelim final, I think, was the final badge to say, you know what, we're worthy, let's go, let's do this.
It's the grand final. Stories are going to be written. Lives will be changed.
The 2017 AFL Grand Final underway. Sloan's mark 40 out directly in front. Wait until you hear this. Adelaide with the first.
Eddie, they've got two. Betts has got his first.
Here comes Riewoldt. What a grab of the grand final.
Back to Riewoldt. Maybe this time. Yes! No again. 3 shots on goal within about 3 minutes. Goes back inside. Butler can finish. No, he does the team thing. And Caddy goes on, and the Tigers have got their first. Martin won the footy. He wheeled his way through it. Little kick forward. Hurley to kick a goal. He does. Big that was.
They're tackling and their pressure's starting to turn this game.
Douglas beautifully way to kick. Brilliant, Rance.
Quick flick handball, cocked it back inside. Here's an opportunity for Graham. Graham just goes bang. Look at this, the Tigers are in front.
He's got it. The champ's got it. He's had a very good first half. This will top it off. He's got it. They've kicked away.
It's now the Tigers 9 points to the good at the halfway mark of the grand final.
It really is set up for the perfect second half. The underdog has its nose in front, and we're about to go.
Riewoldt launches, almost identical to his first quarter big hanger. It was a big goal, and this is even bigger. 30 out, a little bit of angle. Grigg to the famous punt road end. Riding it with him, he's got it. Look at him jump out of their seats in the background. The Tigers have kicked 6 in a row. Tom Pike, he would be wondering what he can do to get his mob fired up.
Riewoldt launched himself. Grigg over the top. Lambert. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. He's having an incredible run in this final series. Can you believe he's kicked 3 goals in the grand final? Jack Graham, that is.
You mentioned Graham's goals, but Damien Hardwick also has enough faith in him to actually play him on Rory Sloane. I mean, that's amazing for a kid playing his 5th game.
I got told the day of the game, actually, halfway during the second quarter. When I was told, I was thinking, oh no, my childhood hero. But yeah, just did what I had to do for the team. Respect Rory as a player, but yeah, just went to war on game day.
Gee, they're going to be hard to beat. Adelaide can't stop them scoring now.
Somehow Martin's juggled it, thought about putting it on the boot, gave it off to Castagna. Right foot snap, got it. Goodness gracious me, the Tigers have got another. Look at Punt Road. It's gone berserk. Here comes Riewoldt, he's marked the ball well today. Jack Riewoldt will go back to give the Tigers a 40-point lead. Riewoldt from 25 stands and delivers.
Sloane coughed it up. They're on. Lambert got it from Riewoldt. Rioli's behind him. Lambert with a bounce. Lambert with a second bounce. Lambert just the overflow of emotion.
Ever since I got drafted, I'd look at our list on paper. I'm like, far out, you know. We got Koch, number 2 pick, like super leader, super competitive. We got Dusty, we got Jack, and I'd always think to myself, why not us? Why not us?
The Brownlow medalist is a grand final winner. No one's ever done that. Won the Brownlow and won the premiership in the same week.
The Tigers are going to win the premiership in 2017. The Tigers have got home for the first time in 37 years.
When people think about a premiership, all they think about is the one day in September when the stands are packed, 100,000 people, but our premiership was really built a long time before that. Our culture, what we stood for, and definitely finding more about yourself.
I look at a guy like Joel Selwood, who's the same draft as me, one of the superstars of the competition, and played in 3 flags, I think, in his first sort of 5 years. And we were toiling away at the bottom of the ladder. I didn't play a final until I played nearly 100 games. So for me, there's a little sense of pride about that.
I've been around footy for a long time. I haven't seen a greater captain's performance, you know, probably since a Wayne Carey, really. But I was so proud of him and what he achieved, and, you know, he got what he deserved, really, as a premiership captain. Always be revered for that now at the Richmond Footy Club.
Number 9, the captain, Trent Cotchin.
You realise the weight being a captain carries when people start to talk to you about the joy it's brought to them and so forth. You feel probably not more responsible, but just like you've owned part of their life in some special way. I was lucky enough to have Brooke and Harper and Mackenzie come on the field for the last probably 100 metres, and, you know, just seeing them and knowing how much of a part everyone's family had been as part of our journey was just special.
It was a real time for reflection. Had obviously some not great things go with in my life, with my cousin Madeline passing away. I thought of that. I think of Roo. Obviously, he never got to celebrate a grand final win.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I never thought I'd get the opportunity to be part of a premiership side, and, you know, we believe in each other, and that's the biggest thing. You know, when you believe in each other and believe in success, anything can happen.
Yeah, it was so awesome, so special, and yeah, it's a feeling that, you know, you want to experience again.
To the Tiger Army. This one's for you.
Richmond's premiership campaign began with an idea. To be honest, to challenge, to accept, and to be a Richmond man. From 13th to 1st. This premiership will forever be yellow and black.